Welcome to Community Cocktails with Kimberly, hosted by Kimberly Woodard, a realtor for nearly 20 years with Ebby Halliday Realtors. Join her every first and third Wednesday of the month as she meets with the top community influencers to help you get to know the area you want to call home. Don't just love your home, love your community. And now, your host, Kimberly Woodard.
Welcome, viewers, to this episode of Community Cocktails with Kimberly. So this episode you will not want to miss. If you are out there thinking that this is the year that you want to buy a house, well, you are come to the right place today because I have a fantastic panel of experts here with me today to talk about what you need to know if you're looking to buy a home this year. So welcome. We're going to introduce my fantastic panel today, and we'll start to my left.
Hi, I'm Jamie Edstrom. I'm a loan officer with Guild Mortgage Company. We are a residential home loan company. That's all we do are home loans. I've been in the business between 7 and 8 years. So I love to help people get pre-approved to buy houses. I also help with refis, but we're here to talk about buying. And I love to work with home buyers and first-time home buyers, people who are moving up or downsizing. So looking forward to chatting with you about some tips.
All right. Sure.
Hi, I'm Sherry Carson with Home Team Insurance. I've been an insurance agent for 20 years. Home Team Insurance is an independent brokerage. We help people with all personal lines, toys, homes, autos, jewelry. So I would love to be of assistance, and I think we're going to be able to help you today.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Michael Valtierra with TNT Home Inspections. I've been a full-time professional home inspector since 2005. I'm a member of pretty much all the national, state, and local inspector organizations. So looking forward to the chat today.
Perfect. And then myself, your trusted realtor, Kimberly Woodard, and I've been selling for over 20 years. Yes, I did start when I was in diapers. So, anyways, we've got lots of years of experience here, and let's dive into talking about and giving these viewers tips on buying a home. So, Jamie, the first thing, okay, I am ready to buy. Let's talk, but I need a mortgage because I'm not lucky enough to have all that cash around. So let's talk about why it's so important to get with you at the very beginning when you start to think about purchasing.
So it's really important to get your finances in order up front, maybe before you even start looking at houses. If you think you might want to buy, you should talk to a lender, get pre-approved, fill out an application. There's never any obligation or expense to do this. Get credit approved. So make sure that they're just not qualifying you using an automated underwriting system, but make sure that they are sending your file through underwriting to an actual human underwriter so that you know exactly what conditions you will have to meet to get fully approved. So if you do this, and if your lender does a good job at this, you can technically, when you go in to put in an offer and you're going to be competing with other people who want to buy that same house, if you've been fully credit approved, you can technically put on the third-party financing contingency, which is where you have to say you have so many days to get lender approval or credit approval, and usually it's maybe 15 days or 21 days or something. You could technically put 0 on there, which means it makes your offer almost as good as a cash offer because they know you're going to get approved. So,
and that is so true. I'll put on my listing side, when we're competing offers and my clients are looking at offers and they see one that says they don't need a credit, they're waiving the credit approval because they've already been credit approved versus ones that are 15, 20 days. And then they have a cash buyer. They're looking at that cash buyer and that finance one that's already waived their credit. And we'll talk about appraisal too, and maybe a waived an appraisal, and as neck and neck offers, pretty much, because at the end of the day, the seller doesn't really care where the cash is coming from. They're looking at their bottom line. That they're gonna, that they're gonna get it, whether it's coming from a lender or cash. So.
True. And if you are lucky enough to have cash, but you don't want to tie it all up in your home, you could pay cash for the home, and then you can do what we call delayed financing afterwards. So you don't have to wait the 6 months to refinance. You can immediately turn around and then finance the home.
Okay.
So that's a great option if you happen to have big piles of money in the bank. So, but the money has to be in the bank. It has to be from a qualified source, the money that you use to buy the house. But delayed financing is a really good option for some people as well.
Right.
So,
Well, let's talk about also percentages down. I know, the myth has been, always, oh my gosh, I got to put, 20% down, or I have to pay that PMI. Well, we all, we know that it's more of a myth these days.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't need 20% down anymore. You can do actually as little as 3% down on a conventional loan. If you're a first-time home buyer, you can definitely do 3% down on a conventional loan, or anywhere in between 3 and on up to 100% down. But and if you put less than 20% down, you do have to buy mortgage insurance. On an FHA loan, it's government mortgage insurance. If it's on a conventional loan, it's private mortgage insurance. That's where the P of the PMI comes in. And but it's often not as much as people think it's going to be. It's especially if you have good credit. It really may not be that much. You can also possibly pay it up front or finance it into, sometimes you could do lender paid so it gets financed. So don't be afraid of PMI. And with home values increasing the way they are, once you get to 20% equity, or you feel you are, you call your lender. They may ask you to have a new appraisal done. And if you're paid your loan down to 80% of the value of the home, you could get the PMI removed. So you may not be paying it as many years as what you'd think.
Definitely. And definitely with the rates of homes appreciating these days, and the rates are so low, put as little, keep some of your money, which also helps if you, on appraisals. So if you're competing and you opt to waive the appraisal, not that you still have to have an appraisal done, but that you're waiving that whatever the value of the property appraises at, that you're still purchasing the home at that sales price, you have that extra money that you can offset if need be. And then again, if you feel, 6 months, 8 months down the road, which I have seen that in this marketplace, that 8 months later, that house is already worth more than what they purchased it for. You can come to me. I'll run a quick CMA so you can get with your lender and see if you can adjust that PMI. So, well, Jamie, any other last tips for our buyers?
One thing I would say, just make sure you get credit approved, and make sure if your lender tells you your credit, oh yeah, we got your file back from underwriting, you're TBD approved or credit approved, ask, is there anything else you need from me? Because there will be some conditions, and usually your loan officer will look, and if there are showstoppers, they're going to let you know. But usually it's standard stuff. But if they say, yeah, everything looks good, but we are going to need your W-2 from 2020, or we are going to make sure you have those things ready. So I would be sure and ask your lender what are the conditions, just so you can make sure that you're able to meet those. But yeah, so getting credit approved is key. And you can also, when I say make sure offer almost as good as cash, you can close a lot quicker too. Like at my company at Guild Mortgage, if you're credit approved prior to going under contract, we guarantee a 17-day calendar close. So that's pretty quick.
That's very quick.
So
because it takes 1 week out of that is, you're going to do inspections and you got to get title work. So,
yeah.
And it sometimes takes just as long if you live in if there's an HOA to get the HOA.
Yeah, yeah, it's all dependent on when we get the appraisal back. But
that's fantastic, and I love making sure you get any of those conditions. Getting that step, because then you're not scrambling at the last minute trying to find, especially if it's paperwork that is not readily accessible for you, and you have to get it from someone else. That you can go ahead and get that done, and then you've got one check box, and now you are more competitive in this buyer's market. So now we have we got our financing all squared away. We've won the bidding contest, yay! And we've got the house of our dreams. And so we are now time to have inspections done. So
Yay.
Michael comes into play. So
Yep.
Michael,
Inspection time.
yes, inspection time. So let's talk to the viewers about why is it so important. I mean, they fill out the seller's disclosure. Seller, of course, their house is perfect.
Yes, always.
So even new construction.
Absolutely.
So why is it so, let's talk about the importance of those inspections.
So the inspection is really important because what the inspection does is it's going to tell you the condition of the property
Right.
From an unbiased person. So you hire an inspector, we go out there, and we're going to tell you what we can and try to educate you about the property you're purchasing. Do you have foundation problems? What kind of condition is your roof in? Do you have gas leaks? Is your electrical system okay? Is your plumbing system okay? Check out your appliances. So it's all that's going to be covered within the home inspection. And so it's good information to know so that you know what it is you're purchasing and you have an idea of how to move forward because you can use your inspection and your inspection findings to decide on how to proceed as far as trying to negotiate for repairs or to negotiate for price reductions. And even if you don't negotiate for anything, at least you have a honey-do list at that point so that you can work on some things once you purchase the house. A common question I get these days is, should I have my brand new house inspected?
Yes.
No, new construction. Absolutely you should. So, I do inspections on new houses all the time, and I find lots of issues on them. So there's builders cut corners, contractors make mistakes, things can be installed improperly, appliances cannot work even as they're brand new. So these are all things that you want to know about before you buy the house, and they can happen on a brand new house, just as they can happen on an existing home. But brand new construction, absolutely, you want to have that done. So there are different types of inspections that can be done on a brand new construction property. You can have different phase inspections. The first phase would be what's normally called a pre-pour inspection, and that is before the foundation is actually poured. So an inspector will go out there and they'll look at the site and make sure everything is prepared properly for the foundation to be poured. So that's usually the first inspection. The second inspection would be a pre-drywall inspection, and that's going to be when the house is constructed with the framing, but before the drywall and before the insulation gets put in. I always tell my clients it's actually a really good and important inspection because this is where you're seeing the bones of the property. Okay, so we're seeing all the wiring, we're seeing the framing, we're seeing the plumbing. And so once the drywall goes in, once the insulation goes in, all that's covered up and we don't know anymore what was in there. So when I get to an existing home and I do an inspection, I tell people right up front, this is a visual inspection only. I can't look inside walls. I'm not Superman. So on new construction, I have that ability to look within the walls because the walls aren't up yet.
Right.
So the last inspection would be the final inspection, which would be when the house is fully constructed and complete. And I go in there and I do a full inspection on everything. It'd be very similar to doing an inspection on an existing home. There is one additional inspection that can be done, and is done pretty often, and it's the 1-year builder's warranty inspection.
Yep.
And so when most builders will give you a 1-year warranty, and usually I'll get called out about on the 11th month or so, and I go to do the inspection for them, and I'm going to go and go through the house just as I did when I did the final inspection, and go through it with a keen eye and list everything that I find wrong with it. And at that point, the buyer can, I guess the homeowner at that point will deliver that report to the builder, and the builder can work on making those repairs at that point. So,
and that's just an excellent point. A lot of my clients have done that, gotten it's amazing what after a year it's no different than a body. I always use your inspection is like for a house is like going to the doctors and having your physical done. Things can change over a year's course, as well as the other point is every house is different. So every house needs a little different nurturing, just like our bodies.
Absolutely.
Everyone's body, takes different things different ways. And so using that inspection report too to identify things that you need to be aware of in your home, drainage, how, just those different little quirks that, may be different from the house that you were previously in.
Yep.
I would say one thing that, a buyer, I guess one thing you'd like them to take away from, inspections.
So I would tell my clients, any buyer, person buying a house, don't get freaked out at the inspection.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that we are required to put into an inspection report, things that we have to tell you about that maybe, especially on an older home, may not be applicable. It may not have been a code, may not have been a requirement when the house was constructed. But today, if this was a new house, I have to write this up and tell you about it, and it has to be listed as a deficiency. And so a lot of the reports will be really long, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the house is in bad shape. It just means that I've got to inform you of these things that have changed, and you don't necessarily need to do anything about it. You can do these upgrades, but it's not something that you should really, you get this report that's 40, 50 pages long, 30 pages, whatever it is. And, you're kind of overwhelmed by it, and just take a step back, take a deep breath, read through it. I always say, consult with Kimberly. So, and get some advice as far as, how to move forward, how to proceed with that. Because there's a lot of things on there that you don't necessarily need to ask anybody to repair or to fix. You just need to know about it. And if at some point in the future you want to do some upgrades and correct some of these things, then you're more than welcome to do that. But just don't get freaked out about it. So
Yeah, it's a checkpoint. It's to see that, the house is stable. It's not going to cave in.
Yep.
Go to purchase it. Sherry's like, oh, no. And so is Jamie like, don't, I don't want to hear. But it definitely, it is. It's, purchasing that home and making sure that it is just, there's no perfect home. Just like there's no perfect, body. No home is perfect. And we've, kind of attest that even a brand new construction home is going to have a list of, items on it. So just keep that in mind when you are, looking at those reports. So we have done, we're still excited. So we've taken a deep breath. We've met with Michael. The house has been inspected. We've been overwhelmed, but we're good. We're all good. So now we've probably been talking with Sherry about insurance, but now we are like, okay, we are definitely in 100% in. We are moving forward with this house. So let's talk about, it's time to get insurance and what we should be looking at on our homeowners insurance.
And that's a really good point too. Like when you're talking about, like the age of the roof and the condition of it, that's really important to us. So like when, your clients, like let's just say you've showed your clients the home, they call me, we can do like a preliminary quote and I can pull a clue report at that time. The clue report goes back 7 years. Sometimes a seller will not have maybe been in the house for 7 years and may not know all the history. So it's really important to pull the clue report. And a clue report is any claim that has been filed on that home in the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's, put into the database and we can pull it up when we do a quote. And it's really informative. It'll, talk about like if the roof has been, if there's been a wind and hail claim or if there's been a water claim. And then this way it will help determine, and with, Michael can verify that, oh yeah, the roof was, it looks brand new. It was replaced in 2020. So that's good. And the newer the roof, the better the discount. So we like that. And the same with the home. But it's really, the questions that we ask when you call us are simple. We won't ever ask for your Social Security number, but I ask for like, the names, your date of birth, your current address, and then we can shop the insurance as being an independent broker. So we can go out and look at multiple carriers. looking for the best coverage and value. And when we do that, our homes are normally the most valuable assets that we have. And so I always tell people we're not always going to be the least inexpensive. And I think when it comes to insurance, that's one thing that buyers make a mistake on, is that they're looking for the bottom line for the price. And you want to make sure you have adequate, proper coverage. So in the event you do have a loss, that you've got water coverage, you have water foundation coverage. Those are vital coverages. Check your deductibles too. And do you want to go with a higher deductible and have a lower premium? What works for you? And we try to, go through different scenarios. So we really try to make sure that when we're talking to someone, they understand what's covered and advise them, on how to, if they have a claim in the future, what needs to be done. And that way we're always there for our clients.
And I love that you brought up the point about the deductibles. I, about 2 years ago, had a house that I was the listing agent for. The seller, goes to sell. Roof, is deemed that needs to be replaced. Well, he had went for the cheaper, and so his deductible was so high that he ended up having to pay quite a bit, for the roof. Of course, most buyers don't think about that because they think, oh, well, it's covered under insurance. They're going to get, well, no. Depends what kind of coverage you have. Yeah. And so they were going to have to pay quite a penny for that new roof. Yes, they weren't paying much, but it offset when you have a claim. That's when you're making it up. So you either pay it, monthly, a little bit more, or know that they're going to get you somewhere. Yeah.
We're not out to get you.
Well, no, but but they're gonna get. They've got to get them. You've got to get money. The money doesn't just come from trees. So
and too, when your buyer purchased the home and the roof has been replaced, they do benefit from that new roof discount. Because in Texas, that's a huge discount. Only because insurance companies know, and other than the snowstorm we had in February of last year, we haven't really had a lot of Hell, we really haven't. I think that, 2016, 2017 were the last major citywide hailstorm. So it's going to come eventually. It will.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to.
It comes in cycles.
Unfortunately, it's due.
I would say, it comes in cycles, and it depends. Okay, because I remember my old house when we had this is terrible. I was like, oh, let's get a hailstorm because we're gonna have to replace this. And then I was like, we should be due for one. Has to be. We haven't had one in this neighborhood for so long. Do you guarantee 2 years later, hailstorm? And we had to have everything replaced. I mean, that was that 2016 hailstorm where skylights and everything.
Yeah.
But no, but I guess my point was that maybe we can touch on is sometimes people and sellers, of course, their roof's fine, but it's 18 years old. So let's talk about, as a buyer, yes, the seller's has coverage, but as a buyer, the kind of coverage that you're really getting on that.
And that is such a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. If the roof is over 15 years old, most insurance companies are not going to cover you for replacement costs, meaning that even though you still may have a 1 or 2% deductible, you're not going to be guaranteed replacement costs. So they're going to depreciate based on the age of the roof, and you're really going to end up spending a lot of money out of pocket to have the roof replaced if it needs to be replaced or when it needs to be replaced. Yeah. So it doesn't really save you money when you do have the extra cash value. And when we write policies, if at all possible, we always try to write replacement costs unless the roof is older. And we can find insurance companies that will write them. They know that you're gonna end up having to have it replaced pretty soon. And this is on a composition roof, not so much a slate or roof. Those last a lot longer, but a composition roof, those are going to have to be replaced.
Right.
Even though the manufacturer warranty says 25, 30 years. I mean, things happen and you get little pings and stuff. So
we've seen pretty brand new roofs and just installation or shingles default. So let's one more thing before we leave insurance. Let's talk about the different coverages that maybe people may not think about. Of course, they think about their home, when they're doing their policy, but anything else that they should add on that when they're getting their policy?
One good really add-on, if you bundle your insurance, like your auto and home, you're always going to save money. Insurance carriers want you to package, and if you can do that, that's great. You would be probably leaving money on the table if you didn't. But as far as the home, what you want to look for, you want to make sure that you've got water coverage, water backup, water foundation. What water foundation does is that if there's a leak underneath the slab and they have to excavate and tunnel to get to it, then it covers that. Not the actual pipe itself, but to go in, and if any, to repair your floors, your walls, if anything was damaged. So that covers that. That's a really important thing. And you want to make sure you've got, personal liability on your policy in the event that if you have a pool and someone comes over and they're swimming and they get injured, you have medical payments and personal liability that pays out. But the key, the main things I always tell people to look at that, look at your water foundation coverage, make sure you have water coverage, because those are key things that, like hail and wind are our number one claims, water's second. So you want to make sure you probably have a minimum of $10,000 on there.
Very good point.
And one thing too is that this is really good to share with your viewers, is that when you're moving into a home, it's a great time to open up go from just room to room and record video. There's free apps for home inventory, or you just take a picture and save it to somewhere like the cloud, or save it somewhere away from your home. That way, in the event that you have a loss, you can show that to the adjuster. You're not having to stress what did we have, because you would be so surprised at the amount of things that we accumulate, like whether it's your linens, your clothing, your furniture, cameras. And if you have valuable items, I would encourage people to wedding rings or maybe expensive camera equipment. You want to make sure you either get those scheduled or have blanket coverage. It costs a little bit more, but it covers you in the event, because most policies have what's called special limits. So they may only go up to $3,000 for jewelry. That's not going to really cover a lot if somebody's got a $10,000 ring, for example.
No.
So
Not at all.
our musical equipment too. That would be, I would suggest, our fine arts.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that those are scheduled.
Yeah. Or if you have a fabulous closet, shoes.
Kimberly.
So, anyways, but I'm gotta love my shoes. Anyways. I have just learned, so much. So, let's just kind of recap some of the, highlights of tips and everything. Of course, I'm going to help you find that house, and we have found the house here, and we have gotten ourselves pre-approved. We are credit approved. We are ready to go. We can compete with all those offers out there, and now we've gotten our inspection done. And the house, maybe not perfect, but we can. It's manageable. And Michael has and Michael has informed us what we need to know about this home. And Jerry has given us great tips on what we need to do for coverage and what we should. It's not so much going for the cheapest value, making sure that you have the coverage. So because that will help you in the long run, if for something were to happen with the house. I mean, we didn't foresee the 2021 ice storm, and a lot of floods happened and pipes burst with that one. And so I know a lot of people learned kind of their lessons on coverages after that. So I think, viewers, are you ready to go out there and buy? Because I think we're ready to help you. So let's say cheers to buying in 2022.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to contact Kimberly with your real estate needs, you can reach her at kimberlywoodard.ebby.com. We hope you enjoyed our guest this week, and remember, don't just love your home, love your community.